This is apparently going to be one of the first of our indoor videos. It's becoming summer here in Arkansas, and 308 is becoming very difficult to obtain for a good price. But I wanted to do kind of a comprehensive video on the different models of FAL. I got to looking on YouTube, and there aren't very many out there that really deal with all the different types and everything. I'm sorry there are no shooting sections of this. We just didn't have the ammo, and what we had did not want to play nice in any of our semi-autos. We tried them in 7 or 8 guns, different FALs, G3s. Anyway, we're going to start off with the Canadian C1A1. This is a parts build on a DSA Lithgow type receiver, which is an inch pattern. You can see the little lightning cut there, that's distinctive. It's built from original Canadian parts on that receiver, you see. The barrel is Australian, because it's as close as you can get. It's hard to find original Canadian barrels, but everything else is Canadian. You have a Canadian extra long buttstock with trapdoor for the cleaning kit. It does have a cleaning rope and oiler in there. Canadian handguards. Canadian 5-slot flash hider with bayonet lug. Tall sights, of course. The Canadian disc rear sight, which also folds. And probably the most distinctive feature of the Canadian gun, the stripper clip top cover. Basically, you just pull it back. Now this is really, on this gun, stiff, so I apologize. The bolt hold open is right here. It's just really stiff on these guns. Got it. And you just load it. Now there's a manual bolt hold open on all Canadians. I have the trigger guard folded into the pistol grip, which is a feature of these for using with mitts, Arctic. It's just in here. It just folds out if you unscrew. It does also have a C1A1D selector on it. I may put a standard C1A1 on there later. This was the first FAL to be adopted by the military, the C1 that is. Canada officially adopted the FAL in 1953 and continued to use them up until the 80s. Next up, we have an Israeli FAL. This is a metric, I forgot to say originally. The first one, the C1, is what is traditionally today called an inch, although when it was first introduced it was called the Canadian pattern. Anyway, on to this one. This is Israeli. It has a lot of early features, these guns. The lugged barrel right here, you know, it's just bare on the end. Excuse me. A bayonet lug, a blank fire adapter, or a grenade launcher would just snap right over it. That's how FN did it. These have the tall sights, as they're called. Later metrics would go to short. This is an IMI style cast front sight protector gas block. Israeli handguards made of wood, metal grills. This is an Israeli style carry handle. This is an Israeli style forward assist. This is actually a larger one meant for a heavy barrel, although it appears on a lot of these light barrels. This is a gun imported by Arms Corp in the 80s. The receiver was made by SBL from original forgings, is the Type 1. So this is a pre-ban. It's built from a collage of parts. Stores its cleaning kit in the pistol grip, which is a later style, adopted by FN. All Israeli, one of the early metric pattern FALs. Next up is the Israeli heavy barrel FAL, also known as the FALO, FALO, whatever. It's essentially the same gun as a metric FAL, but it has a heavier 21-inch barrel, a different style flash hider, of course a large bipod. The butt stock also has a flip-up butt plate, kind of like a M14 M1A. It has sights that go out to 700 meters versus 600 on the standard barrel. Same forward assist charging handle. Slightly larger carry handle. This particular gun, 30 round mag by the way, this particular gun was assembled by Springfield Armory in the 1980s. It's on an M-Bell Type 3 receiver, built from an Israeli parts kit, but it is a pre-banned gun. It's all Israeli except for the Brazilian receiver, and it's just a good shooter. Still has the 3-position selector. Sorry, I'm not moving it around a lot. These things are quite heavy for what they are. Try to get it around the other side and not bang into something. This is empty. Imagine it fully loaded. This bipod is stamped metal. Relatively late production, although it has the FN style open ear gas block. Still using the tall sights like the standard Israeli. Next up we have a West German G1 Gewehr 1. This is another metric FAL. It was an early contract build for West Germany. The first of the G1s actually came out around 57 with the G. They had some prototypes and what they call the GBS that came out in 55, 56. Has a folding light bipod. I need 3 hands some days. Metal hand guards. Charging handles made of metal too. Relatively small carry handle. Belgian walnut type buttstock with a trap door for the cleaning kit. Kind of like you saw on the Canadian. The G1 was the first to introduce the short sights, which would appear on most later metric FALs. It has a quick removable flash hider, which can be replaced by a blank fire adapter or grenade launcher. Just snap it off. This one's built on a DSA Type 1 receiver from a German G1 parts kit. All the parts were originally manufactured by FN. There's quite a bit of history behind the G1, how the Germans bought approximately 100,000 from FN when they tried to get a sight license. FN would not allow it after history from World War II. I won't get into all that right now, but it's an interesting history. As a result, they turned to Spain with the SETME and came out with the G3, which ironically became the FAL's biggest competitor. So, if history were different. These are good guns though. And they have some unique features. They're definitely an early FAL. All of the G1s are made back, I think the last order was completed in 58. And they were retired from service in Germany starting in the early 60s, and most were sold off as surplus to Turkey. That's how we got them today. Most of them came in as parts kits. Next we have an Austrian Steyr STG-58. You'll notice it's quite similar to the G1 we just looked at. Few upgrades. Obviously by the name, 58. Austria kind of designed this rifle in conjunction with FN in the late 50s. Came out. Had some improvements over the G1. They improved the bipod. They put rollers so the bipod deployed a little easier. They also went to this longer flash hider called a Stoll flash hider, which also you can screw in a blank fire device inside, 4-prong. You can use it to cut wires, launch grenades from back here, this grenade ring. But all it can't do is mount a bayonet. Still uses the short sights, metal handguards. This one has a polymer cocking piece, but the same style of carry handle. G1. Has a Styre-made straight comb buttstock, made out of plastic. This has got a few scratches on it. It's surplus. Styre pistol grip, made out of plastic again. Still technically a metric FAL. This one I've had since I started doing FALs about 10 years ago. I built it from a kit with the help of a friend who did most of the gauging and all that for me, because you definitely don't want me trying to read pin gauges. Original barrel, Kunin Type 1 receiver, excellent receiver, especially for the money. Good quality, easy to build on. We had a great time building this. Did it in a Saturday with a few beers and a little bit of food from his wife, and had a great time building it. It's really why I got into FALs. It's been a great, reliable gun, and I've always liked Austrian. Next up, we have a British L1A1. Now, we looked at the C1 at the beginning. The L1A1 is also an inch pattern. It was adopted by Britain and also Australia in a slightly different form in 1957. This is a late production kit on an M-Bell receiver that's been cut to take inch mags and the inch folding charging handle. Has the larger style carry handle. Pebble grain furniture. Rear sight's a flip up like the Canadian, but it's just a straight style. You just press it forward, press it back, no button required. This one has the late style 3-slot flash hider, which Britain went to because they thought it was stronger, versus the 5-slot on the Australian and Canadian versions. Still using the tall sights there. Inch magazine here. Still no last round hold open except for manual. If you pull the bolt back, nothing happens. Press that, it's open. As you can see, that's a lot smoother than on my Canadian. This one's limited to semi-auto only. I mean, all of mine are semi-autos, but even in the military service, the British L1A1 is semi-auto only. They use the L4, which was a modified Bren, as their squad automatic. The pebble grain furniture came about, I think, in the 70s. You start to see it on some of the Falkland Wars guns in the early 80s. Some still had wood though. The early British all had wood, and they kind of transitioned over to the polymer. It's a little bit lighter, more durable. Really like this gun. It was built by a member on the FAL files. Keep the name anonymous. Oh, one thing. The sand cut bolt carrier. The Canadian, I don't know if you noticed, probably not with the video quality, but it's not cut. This is cut with a wave pattern on both sides of the carrier to help push sand out when it's racing back and forth. You also see that on the Australian guns. But yeah, really like this gun. Nice, solid, simple, heavy, overbuilt. Good British gun. Good replacement for the Enfield. Next up is an Australian L2A1. This is the heavy-barreled SAW LMG version of the FAL, but the inch pattern. And we just did the L1A1, which is British. The British did not use an L2, or an L2A1, I should say. The Australians did, and the Canadians used a C2 and then later a C2A1. The Australians just a C2A1. Kept it a little more simple. This is an Australian kit built on a Lithgow type receiver from DSA, just like my Canadian. It's a great gun. I've wanted one of these for years and finally was able to pick one up. This kit is all original Australian except for the US receiver. It was built by my friend over at Honey Creek Industries. I mentioned him in another video. There's quite a few differences between the heavy barrel metric and the heavy barrel inch like this one. We already looked at the Israeli heavy barrel, which was a metric. You saw it had the folding bipod out here. It was made of stamped metal. This one is actually the hand guards that come out, and then you just let them out, and there you go. Here's your gun. 30 round inch pattern magazine. This is an L2 mag. The carry handle is a little different. If you notice, it's angled out and then back in. It helps with a little bit better balance for this gun. Another unique feature are the sights mounted on the dust cover. But the only FAL I can think of that has this feature. And they go out to, it's either 1,000 or 1,200. If I could see it, I'd let you know. But anyway, longer than standard. And then there's just kind of a block back here where the sights would normally go. Unlike the other inch FALs, this one does have a last round bolt hold open, because I guess it's an LMG and they felt it would be useful. It is also sand cut. Like I said, the Australians did do that, as did the British, but not the Canadians. This is that wonderful coach wood they used. It has a great smell. At least I think so. Wish you could smell it. The Australians used the original 5-slot style flash hider even towards the end. Ah, here's something interesting. The front sight ears, like on the late Canadian guns, are removable. Screw here, screw on the other side. That way, if you drop the gun and the ears were bent or broken, you did not have to replace the entire gas block. You just unscrewed the part and put on a new one. Very, thoughtful, small, but important. I guess that happened enough they thought it was worth correcting. You can see how thick the barrel is. You can also see how fun it would be. I have a thought that just about every saw gunner in Canada and Australia put the gun out, fired it, went to grab it once. There was a smell of sizzling bacon, and I bet they never did it again. It's one of those designs, this bipod handguard. I'm sure it saved on weight, and it does. It's lighter. It's one of those things that probably looked great on paper, but had one critical flaw in application. It has a 3-position selector. Of course, it's only semi-auto, only being legal. But unlike the L1A1, that was British, because these were meant to be fired in full auto. Anyway, these are the kits are hard to find today, but I was very happy to get this one. Great gun. Next up, keeping the heavy barrel theme going, we have a pre-ban, Belgian, made by FN of course, heavy barrel, FALO 50.42, has the wooden buttstock. It seems heavy, so I'm going to fold out the bipod now. Seems like it's even heavier than the Israeli, because you have a totally forged, machined, looks like freaking rebar you'd put in the side of a building, bipod there. 30 round FN mag in her. You can see the carry handle's large. If I didn't go off my table. This gun's so big it's going off my table. Let's get that hung up there. There we go. Have a extended ported flash hider, which will appear later. Has the short wooden handguards, quite thick, with the ferrule there. Wooden buttstock with the flip-up butt plate. Similar to the Israeli, but thinner, a little bit different, and it's machined. I will confess, of the FALs I own, this is the only true, totally pre-banned Belgian. It's a great gun. I just picked it off a gentleman not long ago. I've done a little business with him. I'm very happy with the gun for the money. This sling is actually an Argentine sling, but I like it, so it's on my gun. These are used by Belgium, Argentina, It is technically a metric, has the short sights. The barrel is just about as heavy as all the others, maybe even a little bit heavier here. The bipod does swivel here, unlike the Israeli. Of course, you can tilt it up and down, swivel it side to side. It actually removes very easily. There's just a little C-clip you can force off by hand, and it comes right off. I really like the bipod design on these. So yeah, a Belgian heavy barrel FAL, squad automatic style. Next up is one of the late production FALs. It's also one of the first pre-band, when I say band I mean 1989, guns I owned. It is a Springfield Armory SAR 48. This is a Brazilian gun built by the MBell factory, which was a licensed factory from FN. Has late features, polymer furniture, short sights, Type 3 receiver. This is what they call the quick detach bipod. It's not exactly quick detach, but it's quicker than the others because you can at least do it without breaking a nut. You just pop out a pin. Has kind of rubberized legs on her. Has the combination device, which doubles flash hider. Threads for your blank fire adapter inside. Grenade launcher. Bayonet lug. There's a notch. Where's that at? Right on the other side from you. There's a little notch right here. The bayonet snaps into. So it kind of does everything. It just screws right onto the standard threads. It's got the late style carry handle. A little larger, a little longer at least. Yeah, this is it was built from all new parts, imported by Springfield during the mid to late 80s. Just a fantastic gun. These are great values right now. I mean, when you consider that pre-ban FNs are $2,500 up, you can pick up these Springfields still even today for $1,400, $1,500 or so. For factory built FAL, every bit as reliable and durable. It's a good gun. It also stores its cleaning kit down here. Let me show you. You just pull this little thing, wire comes right out, put it in, snap it in. Kind of an there's a little cleaning rope, bore brush, and oil bottle in there. Neat little design. The sling's aftermarket. It's just a standard U.S. military M16 sling I just put on here. But yeah, it's one of my earliest FALs, and I really like it. It's a great gun. Alright, moving along, we have a pre-ban Argentine FMAP Congo. People said the Congo is something that DSA thought up. Nope. 18-inch barrels have been available from FN, MBell, and FMAP since at least the 80s, probably before. Barrel's 18 inches, same combo device with the grenade ring as you saw on the MBell. Has the non-bipod cut handguards with the large holes in the bottom, which are endemic of early FMAP. Same matching type of kind of matte finish plastic charging handle, buttstock, carry handle, Type 3 receiver, late style cast FMAP lower, and I'll put this on. I will confess, this is a paratrooper style flip rear sight. I really like these rear sights because, I can use rear sights all the time. But they're really strong. Unlike the standard rear sights that might get knocked around, these are protected by ears. Still adjustable. And, the late Argentines had them anyway, like the Type 4s that you see at Sarcos. So, yeah, it works. I can always put the standard rear sight back on it if I need to. The serial number on this gun is 36. It actually came out of Jack Freeze's personal collection. the former owner of Arms Corp, who passed away some time ago. But this came from him, actually, not directly from himself to me, but through a friend. It stores its cleaning kit in a pistol grip. I really like the Congo carbine style. You wouldn't think lobbing off 3.5 inches on the barrel would really help, but it seems like it evens out the design, makes it balance a little easier. I really like the non-bipod cut handguards. This is actually, even though I couldn't tell you why for any one reason, one of my favorite FALs. But it's a good gun. And finally for today, we have a paratrooper. Save it for last for you guys. I know paratroopers, folding stock guns are very popular. It's also my shortest FAL. Like the previous one, this is an FMAP. Argentine. It has a 17.25 inch barrel. Like most late style guns, it is bipod cut. Same combo device. Standard handguards. It has the Holland style 150 meter rear sight, which is adjustable for windage but not elevation. It's not a flip sight, which is what earlier paratroopers did use. You'll notice the charging handle is the same as you'll find on the inch guns. It is a folder. There is no carry handle. There's a ring there to fill the hole. Tap through receiver. The folding stock is a later style. I'm not really crazy about it. You have to push the button, or pull it over I should say, under here. And I can't even do it on camera, I'm afraid. I don't know why they made it so complicated. You just push and pull. You have to press the stock down. Well, you see this button right here. To flip it over, I'm pressing the stock down. It's going to do a little better. Seems like you have to lay the gun on something. It's not all that stiff, it's just having enough leverage. Okay? And your DSA stocks don't have this button, and I actually prefer it. It's one of those instances where maybe the American versions, which are a little simplified for production, are better. But that's how they did them. It is a good stock though. Once it's deployed, it's rock solid. Steel. Has a polymer overcoating to the top piece here. It's a cheek piece. Solid. Solid steel. Good stock. Quite a short gun for being a 308. This is an FMAP from Argentina. The ones made in Belgium are called the 50-63, the short ones. The 61s are the ones with the 21-inch barrel, and the 64s are the ones with an aluminum alloy lower. This one just has the late style FMAP cast steel lower. Again, this came out of Jack Freese's collection. I don't recall the serial number at this point, but it's somewhat of a custom gun. As short as possible, simple, durable, and this shows what the FAL could have been when needed. And you have the saw version, and then you have something like this. I'm trying to fold this stock. Like I said, I don't really like how the stock folds. I like the push down Galil style. This extra button here just seems completely pointless. I know it locks it in, but it's quite short, about 3 foot, 2.5 for a 308, quite short. These were used by Belgium, Argentina, Brazil, and a myriad of others. To the best of my knowledge, there was not such a thing as an inch pattern paratrooper, nor did Israel use them. But they were out there. Well, that concludes our FALs for today. I just thought I would kind of give a brief overview of the general models and styles. Thanks for tuning in.